Hello, thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Anthony Truss, and I'm here to introduce to you architectural engineering design for blocks 3 and 4 on B and D days for both the red and blue cohorts of in-person and distance learning models. Um, Once again, my name is Anthony Truss, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you even though it's in digital form. The purpose of my presentation tonight is to kind of give you a preview of what the Google Classroom looks like, a quick preview of what the software will look like when we use it in classroom, and kind of what we'll be doing, and then obviously giving you the opportunity to reach out and email me with any questions or talk to me in person after you've seen this video. So what you see here up on the screen right now is my Google Classroom specifically to Block 3, but it mirrors Block 4. Obviously I keep Block 3 and 4 class separately because obviously they're different students and so forth. The assignments mirror the identical profile that you can see here. What you see here, of course, is the enroll code that will allow students to enroll in the classroom. Accidentally, if they unenroll, they can kind of jump back in. Obviously, that normally isn't a case, but the code is up here for you to use if necessary. All the students currently in my course list are enrolled in the classroom, and then you as parents can add yourself as a parent or guardian under the People tab. I can obviously add you specifically or invite you. However, it can be done automatically here. As you can see, a number of the parents are listed here. What you see here in the front is the first tab of the Google Classroom, which I'm sure you're familiar with at this point, is our chronological stream. I could post an announcement, a topic, a question, or so forth. However, at this point, the streams are kind of confusing in terms of keeping track of what needs to be done and when it was assigned. So I like to have students and parents focus on the classwork tab, where I keep things focused by week. So all you have to do, regardless of topic, is focus on what needs to be done in that week block. Now I post in-person and distance learning assignments in for that block, and students are starting to learn as to what types of assignments can be done in the classroom and what kind of assignments can be done at home. There's assignments that are typically SolidWorks based software centered, which is software that needs to stay here in the building. So if I assign certain things related to that, they're expected to obviously wait until they're in person to do so. When I meet with students using the Meet link, which obviously is focused right here on the stream, I will reiterate what assignments are for in-person versus what assignments are for distance learning and so forth. In the classwork tab, as you can see, during week 1, we focused on the reviewing the guidelines with parents of the course, which I'll bring up in just a minute, and then a technology survey as to what type of technology they have available to them at home, which will give me guidance as to what we can do in terms of activities. So in terms of reviewing the guidelines, I do want to spend a moment to discuss those things with you. And the PDF that's here under Guideline and Grading Policy will just bring you to a PDF. And I'll obviously explain the course description in just a moment. But one of the main focuses of the guidelines is explaining grading policy. And most importantly, what happens if your son or daughter receives a 0 for an assignment that they forgot to turn in. I've already explained this in class, so I apologize if you've already went over this with your son or daughter. However, just kind of reiterate what I said was that if a student receives a 0 for a missing assignment, that work can be made up. It'll remain a 0 until, and that's obviously just to show the academic consequence so that there's no surprises at the end of the quarter. If I were to leave the grade empty, that you wouldn't really have any way of knowing unless going into the breakdown of the grades that specific assignment is missing. And then you'd have to kind of mathematically calculate in that 0 using my grading weights here. So that's way too much work for anyone to really realistically be figuring out. So I put the 0 in obviously as a courtesy and a reminder that that work can be made up and that it should be made up and that it obviously is at that point noticeable. Obviously, please read the course description at your own leisure, but obviously I'll provide you a brief summary of that today. And once again, the theme of the course is architectural and engineering design, not necessarily in that order, it kind of just in terms of the way that it was spelled out in the course book, that's how it's been listed. We focus on engineering concepts, technical communication, spatial reasoning, geometric understanding, and so forth in the first semester, and then the second semester we apply those skills to architecturally design and then also learn about architecture, whether it's the design of a building and the various philosophies behind that and the process that goes with designing a building in the architectural sense, presentation drawings, communication skills, and so forth. But we apply the engineering design skills to the architectural semester, as they already now at this point know how to I would say technically communicate three-dimensional geometry, such as what is front, top, and side, which side, is it the right side, is it the left side, what are dimensions, what are hidden lines, leader lines, and so forth. What are the drafting conventions and standards that are adhered to, sheet size and prints and renders and so forth. So all of those are kind of learned in an abstract sense in the engineering design first semester, and then we apply it to specific architectural situations in the second semester. I've done it in opposite order, and I found that students have greater success if we do the engineering content first versus the architecture. The classwork tab once again keeps us organized for what it is we're supposed to be obviously doing week by week. And as you can see here, week 1 was the technology survey and acknowledging that they've gone over the guidelines. Week 2 regarded some quizzes and some PowerPoints related to technical communication. And then week 3, you can see we're reiterating and also reviewing some of the drawing techniques that we kind of learned in week 2. We're just about out of time, so I just wanted to give you a quick preview of what some of this parametric modeling environments kind of look like. We use SolidWorks in person. We use Onshape at home, which allows you to use parametric modeling software within a browser with no software needed to be installed. And then we're going to be going through a variety of self-taught, self-paced courses based on obviously the guidelines that I provide in classroom. As you can see, here's some examples of product design, technical communication needs, and so forth through designing products and mechanical parts. This is just a quick little simple cube that everyone has done at this point, understanding where the front, the top, and the side is. Are we looking at the right side here? Are we looking at the front side here? What's the differences between them? And then we're going to also be orthographically drawing these and then dimensioning these moving next. So we'll obviously scaffold up and move on and obviously add complexity once the basics have been taught, but this is exactly what SolidWorks looks like. However, obviously this can run in a browser versus SolidWorks needing a CAD workstation that we have here at Conard. So if you have any other questions, I'll be glad to address them at the open house in person / digital hybrid, and reach out to me through email, and I'll be glad to help you out if you have any other questions. So